15th of February, Rabbi Moore, Parsha Hashavua with Rashi, Sisa.
Okay.
Rabbi Moore, I cannot see you and you are muted.
So they served herring. I guess they knew the Russians like herring. Anyway, so then one of the guys says to me, "Oh, but the fish darfen schwimmen. The fish need to swim." Anyway.
Okay.
Okay, let's go.
My response is, if they're swimming, I ain't eating them.
Oh boy.
Okay, let's go. Pasuk Yud Pasuk Yud Zay.
Okay. Yud Zion.
Good Zion. Good Zion. Where the heck is that?
Well, let's see. It says, "Vaydaber Hashem el Moshe lemor." So Hashem said to Moses, saying, Moshe,
He spoke to Moses.
"Ve'asita kiyor nechoshet, v'kano nechoshet l'rachsa, v'natata oto, ben ohel moed uben hamizbeach, v'natata shama mayim." Okay, so let's see. You should make a copper, what's kiyor? That's a vessel like.
So Rashi is going to explain. Nowadays, in modern day, it's referring to a sink, a basin. Rashi, it actually doesn't mean it's an urn. The way Rashi explains it's an urn. But it's an urn not for hot water, it's an urn for holding cold water. Okay, we'll see in the Rashi. Okay.
The big dude.
The Chanoi Nechoshes and its copper stand. Why have I lost you now? Hello?
You can't hear me?
I can hear you.
Now I can. But I couldn't hear you before, just a minute ago. I think every time you turn to your left, is it possible? No,
I have to
okay.
get a different location, I think.
Okay,
You're correct, because I think it's happened with other classes too.
okay. Anyway, continue.
Okay, so let's see, in a copper base stand, okay, and it's for washing, l'rachsa, and you should put it between the Ohel Moed and the Mizbeach, the altar, and you should put their water. Oh, okay. So let's see. Is there a? I don't have a. Oh, I have the wrong book, I think. I'm sorry. Hold on a second.
Okay.
1 second. I'm sorry. Like, yay. Sisa, and we're on Pasuk 17. Okay, let's see, Pasuk 17. Oh, hold it. Is there Rashi? Let's see. Okay.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
Kiyor.
Yud-Het. I'm sorry. Okay, so Rashi says, Kiyor, Kamin Dud Gedolah. Okay, like a large dude.
Dud is an urn. Dud here in modern day of it is called like a boiler. But I think I said, let me check how I translated it.
Right, you refer to the hot water heater in your house as a dude.
Right, because it's called dud is really a big urn, a big vat. Mm.
So it's something that water can be heated up in.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, I think I just noticed something. We missed out Pasuk 16. Okay,
I
it
was
doesn't matter.
wondering about that because my bookmark was showing that we were in the middle of a long Rashi on 16.
We hadn't. We finished Pasuk 15, which was a long Rashi. Anyway, I think it's better actually we skipped it because it's a very complicated Rashi. And I don't want to get bogged down on it. So I think it's good we skipped it. Okay. Anyway, actually, Kamin Dud Kedola. Let me see how I translated it. A large urn as, a large urn. Okay.
Okay. Billah Dadim. And what, it has like faucets on it or something?
Spouts.
Spouts, okay. Merikim, the Thihem Mayim, where water Merikim empties from it.
Right. The theme with at the openings where they're open, right? The mouth of these the mouth of these spouts spew out water.
Okay, good.
Charge the water.
Interesting, good. Okay, the kano, and that's the base that it's on. Kitar gano uvi. Okay, so the Targum says, oh, basis is a base, right? That's interesting. Like, okay, almost like English. Okay, Moshav mitukan likiyor. Okay, so it's Moshav, it's seated.
Means Moshav, it's a stand. I guess as you call it, a stand. Mitukan, specially made, prepared, made especially for the urn. I'll give an example, like just trying to think of an example. I mean, a similar thing, the marshal, you have a loudspeaker, okay? A loudspeaker that has a special stand. You put insert the loudspeaker into the stand, whatever, and that holds it in position. Same to, actually, today's a fancy thing it is to have basin, have a sink on in marble and placed on a stand. Okay, so that was a similar kind of thing, but it wasn't made of marble, it was made of copper. Okay?
It'd be high enough that you wouldn't have to bend down to wash your hands?
I guess so. It wasn't so hard to see, you had to wash their hands and feet.
Oh, and feet too. Oh, yeah. Okay. Okay, so lirachsa, that's for washing. Musav al hakiyor. Musav.
That means referring.
Oh, it refers to the kior. Oh, okay. Uvein ha-mizbeach.
It was placed, the Pasuk says it was placed, you shall place it between the tent of meeting and the altar. The Rashi is presented with a question, which altar?
Mizbeach ha'olah.
Right, Rashi says it was the sacrificial altar, let's call it that way. Mizbach ha'olah is the name given, even though it's not just the burnt offerings offered there. It means all things which were offered, burnt up on an altar, i.e. all the parts of the sacrifice, though they were burnt on this altar, which was outside the Mishkan. Whereas the golden altar, where only the Ketores and where the Kohen Gadol sprinkled the blood on Yom Kippur, but besides that, there was no meat or any fats or anything of the animal sacrifices were burnt up on the inner altar, on the golden altar. Everything was burnt up on the outside altar, which was known as the Mizbach Ha'olah. That's the literally means the altar of the burnt offering. But it really means the altar where all parts which were offered up on an altar to be burnt were burnt up on this altar. Okay, that's called. So it was called the Mizbach Ha'olah. Okay, right. Shekosu boy.
Okay, shehu lifnei petach mishkan ohem oed. So it's written that it's in front of the Mishkan of the tent of meeting.
Right.
Oh, okay. V'haya hakiyor mishuch kim'ah. So let's see.
So Rashi's pointing out something very important. I don't know. I hope I have a picture here to illustrate this to you. So it's not so clear. Yeah, I'll show you the picture. It's not so gewaltigly clear, but you used to have some idea. Yeah. Over here, I'm going to try and bring it as close as possible. So this shows the Mizbeach at the entrance of the Mishkan. Now you see next to the slope, to the ramp, up to the Mizbeach, you see something like looking orange.
Yeah.
Okay, it's not so clear in the picture. That is the kior. So what Rashi is pointing out, it was between the altar and the tent of meeting, but not directly between them. It was pulled over a little bit to the side because there was a din that the altar had to be directly in front of the entrance of the tent of meeting. And now if you place the kior, this basin, this urn, if you place the urn there, then that would be considered an interruption. So says Rashi, you move it over slightly to the, here the picture is like, I don't know how, that's how you see it, to the right. Okay, and
we say it to the left.
We see it to the left. Okay, and that's because in order to fulfill both psukim, that way, the altar was directly in front of the Mishkan, and also the urn, the kior, was between the altar and the Mishkan. But not directly between them, but it was moved over a little bit over. But it was in that area between the Mishkan and the altar. Okay?
Okay, so that's the Omed Keneged Avir Sheben Mizbech the Hamishkan. Okay, the Eineno Mafsik Klal Beintayim. But there wasn't an interruption between them. Okay, which we saw. Okay. Nishum Sheneamar V'et Mizbeach Ha'olah Sham Petach Mishkan Ohel Moed. Because it says put, okay, there's the altar, the offering, okay.
That offering altar, you shall place, he placed Pesach Hamoed at the entrance of the Mishkan Hamoed. Kloima, in other words,
Mizbeach Lifnei Ohel Moed. Oh, so the Mizbeach is in front of the Ohel Moed.
the aim,
Oh, the Ein Kiyor Lifnei Ohel Moed, but the Kiyor is not in front of the Ohel Moed.
all right, says so over here, has to be so. Kate said, how could that be?
Kila Pei Hadarom. So let's see, it was Mishu.
Was drawn
But
a little bit towards the south.
to south.
Showed you in the picture, that was not directly in front of the Omer, but it was a little bit to the left.
Oh, and Kach Shinuya Zvachim. So this is taught in the Gemara Zvachim.
Okay,
Very good. Okay.
let's continue now. Pasuk Yud Tes.
Good test. V'rachatzu Aharon uvanav mi menu es yedehem ve'es raglehem. And Aaron and his sons would wash from it their hands and their feet.
Very good.
So from it means from the kior, the kior, yeah, the urn, the big urn. Okay, so es ha yedehem ve'es raglehem, their hands and their feet. Bevas achas haya mekadesh yadav viraglav. So with one house.
The bas is literally one daughter. It's a term in one shot.
One shot. In
He
one
would,
shot.
he would sanctify his hands and feet.
His hands and his feet.
Right. It means he would not first wash his hands and then his feet. He would wash his hands and feet together.
So the English says at the same time.
Right. Let's see how I translated it.
So he's washing his hands and his feet at the same time.
Yeah.
How do you do that?
Simultaneously.
So he bends down, puts his hands.
Well, carry on the Rashi. Rashi says, the Gemara says how they did it.
Oh, he's going to explain? Okay, let's see. The chach shaninu biz vachim, and thus we have learned in Zvachim, the Gemara in Zvachim, Ketzad Kiddush Yadayim V'Raglayim. How is it that he sanctified his hands and his feet?
That means, how was it done? Ketzad, how
was it done? Maniach yado hayamanis al gabe raglo hayamanis. So he maniach, he rests his hand, hayamanis,
His right hand,
his right hand, al gabe, on top of his right foot. He rests his right hand on top of his right foot. I'm trying to picture that. His right hand on top of, so he lifts his foot
I
up.
was doing an audiovisual presentation. One second, let me see if you can see me properly. Hold on a second. Yeah. Right, yeah, 1 second. I'm going to put it by, sit down. Okay, like this. Put the right hand on the right foot. You see me?
So he lifts it up. He lifts his foot up like you're doing.
Right. Okay.
Okay. Yado hasmalim.
Hasmalis.
Say what?
Hasmalis.
Hasmalis. Al gabe raglo hasimalis. And his left hand on top of his left foot. So now you got both feet up in the air?
Okay, Kaddish, and he would sanctify.
And he
And then he would
sanctifies.
wash his hands. Okay, so the Gemara has a discussion about it. One opinion
It
says
says it sanctifies them, it means he puts the water on them, right?
that Kaddish means to labor them. Okay? So there's a discussion in the Gemara. One opinion holds that he first did his right hand on top of his right foot and washed that, his right side, means his right hand on top of the right foot. Then he put that foot down, and then he did put the, he washed the left hand, he put the left hand on top of the left foot, and then he washed that. Okay, that's one opinion. The second opinion is, as you say, you know, he's got to, what do you call it? He's going to be part of the Bolshoi ballet. He's got to do a jump up in the air, like jump up in the air with his hand and feet, and then wash his hand. Like it's a pretty difficult physical feat. So the Gemara actually discusses this. The Gemara says that somebody, another Kohen, stood behind him and supported him, and then he like flipped his feet in the air and his hands on the feet, and that's how he washed them.
But how did he turn the water on if his hands and feet were both occupied?
It was the water was running. It was running water. Somebody else had turned on. Or he himself turned it on before.
There's 3 Kohanim there. How many Kohanim does it take to wash their feet?
Anyway.
Sorry to hear.
It's okay.
Okay.
I don't do the feet these days.
Say that this was part of the Beis Hamikdash exercise program, right? Anyway, so that according to that opinion, it was a pretty difficult physical feat. According to the excuse the pun on the feet, but anyway, but according to the other opinion, they did one at a time. So that's also, you know, by the way, the Kohanim, once they reached the age of 50. No, sorry. No. They could go, a Kohanim could serve till an old age. But I think they only there was a certain age when they stopped serving.
Well, 50, they stopped serving in the army, right?
Yeah, but that's something else. That was between 20 and 60. But the Kohanim did not have the age limit.
Wasn't it for the Kohanim between 30 and 50?
That was the Levium in the Midbar. Because they had the carrying job, they had to carry the Mishkan. So they were limited between 30 and 50.
Ah, I see. Okay.
That was only when they were in the desert. But otherwise, the Kohanim could. There was no age limit as far as I remember. Okay. But they had to be somewhat agile to be able to wash their hands and feet. Okay. Weiter. Pasuk 20. Pasuk Chaf.
Devoam Elohel Moed Yirchatsu Mayim V'lo Yamutu O Vigishtam El Hamizbeach Lisharet Lahachtir Ishe Lahashem. Okay, so when they're coming to the tent of meeting,
So here, when they enter.
oh, when they enter, okay. When they enter the tent of meeting, they will wash their hands and they will not die. And or Vigishtem.
Let's begin. 1 second. When they enter the tent of meeting, they shall wash their hands with water. They should wash. They should wash themselves with water. And then they will not die.
When they, I guess, come close to the Mizbeach,
Draw near to the altar to serve lahakti ishel Hashem, to burn up fire offerings to Hashem.
Okay. Rashi. Bivoam el ohel moed the gomer. Okay, so when they come to the tent of meeting, let's see. Lahaktir shacharit uben harabayim ketoret. Oh, so that's they burn the incense in the morning.
So this is a very interesting question of it, which Rashi is sort of avoiding. There's a big discussion in the Gemara. There's a person, let's say a Kohen, wants to come into the Azara because he wants to observe what's going on, but without the intention of doing any service. He doesn't intend to do any avodah. He's just coming in to watch. Does he have to wash his hands?
I would say no, because he's not offering the incense up.
Right, so that's why he's saying the Rashi's Medak. It says, no, before that, yeah, to do the service. Okay, so the Medak, the Dafka, where the intention is to serve, to do the avodah, then they have to wash their hands. But if it's a bia rekonis, meaning it's an entrance not for any intention to do the avodah, then there's no requirement to wash their hands. Okay? So that's why Rashi says over here, but when they enter the Ohel Moed, the tent of meeting, when is that for? Lahaktir shachris ubein habayim k'toros. That the intention is to offer up the k'toros. Or
lachazot midam par kohen hamashiach u'seirei.
Avodas elilim. Okay. Now Rashi brings the example of two. Where there's called chatos pnimios, means that the some types of sin offerings that the blood is not sprinkled on the outside altar, which is the rule generally for 99% of korbanos, but for very certain korbanos which are very rarely brought, the din is they have a higher level of sin offering. And the din is that their blood, rather than being sprinkled on the outside altar, is sprinkled on the inside altar. So that would be another occasion for the Kohen to have to come into the Ohel Moed to do service, to do the avodah.
Okay. The lo yamutu, and they will not die. The ha'im lo Yirchatsu yamutu. If they didn't wash, they will die. Oh. Torah ne'emra klalot. So the Torah stated
Rules.
Okay. Umiklal lav ata shomeahin.
And
And
when it expresses it in the negative, I can infer that if the opposite happens, then the positive is so, is the case. So like over here, it says, when they enter the tent of meeting, they shall wash their hands, wash themselves with water, and they will not die. From which you can infer that if they enter the tent of meeting and they do not wash their hands, without washing their hands, then chas v'shalom, they will die. Which I'll say means not the best and puts them to death, but Hashem will bring about the early death.
El Hamizbeach, to the altar. Hachitzon, oh, this is the outside one.
There's no
Because
entering the oil moed where somebody, a Kohen, wants to offer up a sacrifice on the outside altar, then there's no reason for him to enter the tent of meeting. So I might think then he's not going to be liable to have to wash his hands. No, that's what he says. If he draws near to the Mizbeach to serve, then he's also required to wash his hands. So that's what Rashi is pointing out. Even though there's no entering the oil moed, the outside altar was in the courtyard of the Mishkan and not in the Mishkan itself. Okay?
right, Ela b'chatzer, so rather just the courtyard. Oh, okay.
Or it would offering something on the Mizbeach would not require the Kohen to go into the tent of meeting. Nevertheless, the Pasuk says that since he's serving on the altar, he also has to wash his hands. Okay. Next Pasuk, Chof Aleph. Lou, you're muted.
Sorry. V'rachatzu yedehem v'raglehem v'lo yamusu v'haysa lahem chak olam lo ulezaro ledoro sam.
Okay.
So it means they shall wash their hands and their feet, and they will not die. And it will be for them a law forever, eternal decree for him.
For Aaron, that is.
Eternal decree for him and his offspring for their generations.
Right.
Okay, so lahem is kind of unnecessary. You could have just said it will be an eternal decree for him and his offspring, right?
Just 1 second. Yeah, what's the extra lahem? Yeah, I don't know. I have to check that out. It's an interesting point. Why the lahem?
Yes, v'lo yamusu, they shall not die. Lechayev misa al hamishamesh b'mizbeach, that they are liable for the death penalty concerning the
One who serves
of the mizbeach.
on the Mizbeach, one who serves on the Mizbeach, and he did not wash his hands and feet.
Why does it say ha-mizbeach, not al ha-mizbeach?
Okay, it's really the same. Shemesh ba-mizbeach. I don't know. I'm not sure why I use the word ba-mizbeach.
The eno rechutz yadayim v'raglayim. And he does not wash his hands and his feet. sheha misa ha rishona, for the first death, for the first.
I mean, the way it says in the previous pasuk. Right? That's referring to when they enter the tent of meeting. But it doesn't say it just says they have to wash their hands. But it doesn't mention that they're going to, if they don't, they're going to die. Therefore, this pasuk is repeated again, even with regard to going serving on the Mizbeach.
Lo shamanu ella al ha-nichnas lehechal. It only informs us concerning one who enters the Heichal, the sanctuary.
Which was the equivalent in the desert was the tent of meeting. So what basically what she's saying is why the pasuk is repeated over here to tell you again this same inference that they shall wash their hands and then they will not die is added because that's in reference to them serving on the Mizbeach. Whereas the first time it says that they shall not die is referring to entering the tent of meeting. And the second one, which is this pasuk, they shall wash their hands and feet and then they will not die, from which we can infer that if they did not wash their hands and feet, they will die. That is referring to if they serve on the Mizbeach. Okay?
Thank you, Rabbi.
But very good. Have a great day. Kol Tov.
Okay, Kol Tov.
Kol Tov. Yechiel.
Take care, Yechiel. Take care, Meir.